Hello everyone, this is Stranger Theory with you. In today's episode I will continue to do theories and take a closer look at the images. Before we begin, please subscribe and like to see more information about Stranger Things. Put a bell in the notifications so you never miss my new videos. Special thanks to one of the Hawkins AV Club moderators, Stranger Will. He did a detailed analysis of these pictures. The teams will probably be split into 4 different storylines in part 1 of season 4 and probably won't reunite until the end of part 1. I'd like to start with the California storyline. The image on the rink with mileven, Mike Wheeler, Will Byers. In the Welcome to California teaser, you can catch a glimpse of mileven being picked on and bullied while skating on the roller rink. This leads to her finally snapping.
In the teaser she doesn't have a stain on her clothes, but here she does, probably after she snapped or what caused her to snap.
So, this image shows us how they look at the consequences of what she did. When you zoom in on her eyes, you can see the suffering, and it's almost like she's crying. As for Will and Mike, they both look disgusted by what may have just happened. And I believe there have been rumors before that something like this really happens when mileven finally gets off. This image more clearly shows the stain on mileven's dress, and if what is written in the above analysis is true, it could be their meeting with Owen's people or any other group of good people supporting them this season, who heard about the mess she made and didn't give them time to visit after the attention she drew to herself by what she just did. mileven is the main one to meet them, Jonathan acting as babysitter to the children while Joyce rescues Hopper, and Argyle has the look of someone who didn't know any of this was going on. The image shows the California gang in Susie's room. There was a big jump in events between this panel and the first two. The first 2 panels took place on the same day. This panel shows them wearing the same clothes as the day of the raid on their house, as shown in teaser 004, where the good people were protecting them from the bad people, probably Brenner MPs. Why turn to Susie? Perhaps because they want to contact Hawkins through Cerebro. But that doesn't explain how they reached her exact location, since they would have needed to contact Dustin in the first place. So we can assume that they are the ones questioning her about something scientific in an attempt to find mileven. This is the same group we saw on the bikes at night during the sneak peek, wearing the same clothes. So it's fair to assume that they are both from the same series. They all look pretty confused, not sure what's going on. Without knowing exactly where they are, it's harder to try to guess. Who made the rope, and where does it lead? I would have to make a very bold assumption and say that it leads to a gate in the basement. This assumption is confirmed only by a faint yellow glow on the rope, which may well be ambient light. Now there are only 3 of them left. In front of them lies the light bright, which, after finding out what it is, seems like the perfect device to communicate between upside down and the right side up. As for who is using it on the other side, it is probably the 4 who seem to be in the upside down. But assuming the first group's guess is correct, then it could be Max, who is communicating with them after being in upside down herself. We are transported to Joyce, Murray, and Hopper in cold Russia. The trip doesn't seem to be a very friendly one for Murray and Joyce. What surprises them? Considering it's their crash site, I don't think it would be the prison that Hopper is in, simply because that would mean that the smoke from the plane would attract the Russians to them. It would spoil their plan before it even begins. The tree line looks similar to the teaser for From Russia with Love, but I think all the tree lines in the area look the same. Hopper is in a prison in Kamchatka. I don't have much for this version, so I'll just put out a crazy thought about it with a little encouragement. Since they are inside, what hangs in the air is not snow but rather inverted floats, and Hopper looks at the gate, which lights up his face with a warm glow.
Perhaps it's time for Hopper, Joyce, and, this time, Murray, to get back to the upside down and run back to Hawkins or some other safe place, given how their plane crashed.
Or perhaps it could be Yuri who manages to find an escape route, which frankly doesn't sound so cool. Steve, Eddie, Nancy and Robin in upside down. They all look visibly battered. They all have damaged necks, especially Steve's. And there's blood on Eddie's shirt, which doesn't seem to be his. Judging by their body language, they're very tired / were just on the run. I imagine this is the moment when they finally meet Vecna. A quick response to the leaked footage of Steve shopping for military supplies with Nancy, Robin and the others. So this could be related to the sequence where they create a trap for Vecna.
It's worth noting that Steve has a Motorhead badge on his vest, which is different from the clothes he was wearing when he was shopping for supplies.
This image shows Robin and Nancy at Pennhurst Psychiatric Hospital, Curry County, Indiana. If you've been following the leaks, you should already know that Robin and Nancy are visiting Creel at Pennhurst, questioning him about the murder of his family and the vengeful demon he says killed them. The way they are dressed is certainly interesting. Nothing resembles the ES, and it's not something Robin would intentionally wear. So maybe the only way to fully connect with Creel is to wear ES clothes. Maybe it's more of a mindscape trick. Steve, Robin, Max and Dustin at the family video store. This is probably a very early episode. Max and Dustin turn to Steve and Robin for help.
Robin seems to be typing on the computer in front of her. Steve looks at her with a look of asterisk, I'm not sure what's going on asterisk. While Robin does some magic to help Max and Dustin, who looks quite asterisk surprised asterisk by what she's doing.
They then run out of the store and get into Steve's car. A game of Dungeons and Dragons with Eddie and Dustin. There's still no clear way to tell where this shot is. If you look around, Benny's burger joint is quite possible, as is Creel's house. It's quite possible that this is a new location. The lightened image better shows Dustin sitting across from Eddie. It's worth noting that there was a brief sequence of this setting in the walkthrough clip. You can notice the blue dice bag in front of Dustin in both instances. Dustin, Steve, Max, Robin, Nancy and Lucas in the Creel house. We've seen this shot before in the Creel house teaser. The story behind it makes more sense elsewhere, but in the context of these shots, you can see that they are all wearing different clothes than the other panels. So we can assume that not everything went immediately wrong on their first visit to the place. This has been all the news on the show Stranger Things so far. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck everyone.